The Supreme Court allows the Lone Star State to use the Trump-backed congressional map in its midterm elections. Governor Greg Abbott writing this: Texas is officially and legally more red. This is a victory for Texas voters, for common sense, and for the U.S. Constitution. They could get up to 5 seats in theory. Let's bring in Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. Greg, did the Supreme Court make the right decision?
Oh, I think they did, Brian, because there was little credible evidence that Texas had actually redrawn their congressional map based on race, which obviously would be a civil rights violation. And the ruling is consistent with what the high court said in 2019. We will not intervene in cases of political partisan gerrymandering, only in cases where, states have conjured up district boundaries for largely racial reasons that are discriminatory. And in fact, there was evidence that the previous map was racially motivated and that the new map corrected that constitutional defect. So, as you point out, Brian, this ruling has the potential to flip 5 Democrat-held seats in Texas to Republican next year, and it may actually clear the path for other states to do the same, blue states and red states, as long as race is not a factor.
Yeah, so in my opinion, that is good news. It's good news because 5 new congressional seats that may be that may affect Jasmine Crockett. Look, we're going to miss her. Okay, we're going to miss Jasmine Crockett because now that the new map has been validated by the Supreme Court, it appears that Jasmine Crockett is going to lose that congressional seat that she essentially stole because of the weird district that was created just to accommodate her being voted in as a congressperson. Well, this is Friday, and we're going to be diving into some stories. And I wanted to just open up with some good news because the Supreme Court essentially said what all of us had been saying for a long time. The California gerrymandering was thrown out because they came out from the get-go to say, we're doing this along racial lines. They came out from the very beginning to say, we're being racist with our gerrymandering. They said it because they were trying to virtue signal. And you know what? When you start out by virtue signaling based on race, okay, and we all know that the civil rights, laws prevent people from doing that, or basically make it illegal to do such things, to hire based on race, to do all of those things based on race, because it essentially was created. The civil rights law was created to avoid people being discriminated against because of race. And you know what? That's racism according to the rules. So let me know what you think about this law. So I'm diving into the chat head on. Today is Friday, and while we're eager to get into some of the news stories that are before us, remember, well, we come here to look at the news and to comment on the news, but we stay for the chat. So again, Patricia, yeah, hi. Thanks for jumping in. You're first in the chat. Great to see you. We missed you this afternoon. This afternoon was quiet. And it was weird because we had 2 previous live streams that were really chatty. And then this afternoon, it kind of fell off. We had one individual who left a chat, which was nice. We were able to kind of talk about some of the ideas that they had, but it was good. It was a quiet, mellow afternoon. And Fridays tend to be like that. They tend to be like that. And Patricia says it's going to be a great evening. Yeah, it is. Here's how I spent my evening, and maybe if you feel like it, you can say how you spent your evening. This evening, I spent it driving around because my wife signed up my daughter for gymnastics, and so I had to drop her off at the class, and then I had to head home to pick up my son to take him to his youth group. And then I had to go back to pick her up, take her home, and then finally go back to pick him up. So usually his youth group ends 30 minutes before we go live. And so going forward, well, today is the last day of their youth group. But in the future, if you see me sound as if I'm out of breath on a Friday night live stream, it's because I just ran in from picking up my son and ran straight in front of the camera and hit go live. Right. So, yeah, it's going to be a great evening. Canary Kane says, greetings. Yes. Greetings. Okay. So, Patricia says, forming voting districts needs to be restricted. Oh, okay. Forming voting districts needs to restrict the count of illegal aliens and foreigners who have no citizenship in America. This is something that is foreign interference with our election. Well, look, it's common sense to insist that only citizens of your country are allowed to vote in elections. I don't know why it is a strange conversation to have. And many of us have said that this is a problem. And because of the color of my skin, maybe the insults that are slung at me are different from the insults that may be slung at someone who is Caucasian, like Patricia. And when I say it, it's like, okay, you're a turncoat or you're a sellout. You shouldn't be against your kind and you should be among the minorities. I don't care. As long as the conversation is about doing things the right way, I'm all for it. But when people begin to bend the rules in order to win elections, I hate it. I've told you guys my stand on cheating. Patricia says, I was at my daughter's house taking care of my youngest daughter while the oldest daughter showed a house for sale. Okay, she's a realtor and took over the care of my youngest daughter. Oh, that's nice. And you and I talked about her yesterday, and it's heartwarming to hear that you were with her this evening. All right. So anyone else wants to share what their evening was like? Okay, because it's look, we're forming a community, and it'd be great to just talk more than just about the news. Okay, because we're here to listen to the news, but one of the things that we need to build with each other is also trust. So we also have to be able to talk about stuff, and get to know each other better. One of the reasons why, I believe one of the reasons why the politics of the United States has devolved into name calling and insults is that the human element of the average voter has been left out of the conversation. Okay, and that's why people always talk about not humanizing people, so that it's okay for you to hate on them, to lie about them in order to win an argument or to win elections. Patricia says, Patricia says, the census is the count that they use to form voting districts. That is the constitutional rule for forming a voting district. The citizenship question was removed from the census to get around this. Oh, wow. Okay, that's not good. Well, so let's say this, okay? It's wrong to gerrymander based on race. All right, it's really bad. Now, the Supreme Court has upheld the Texas redistricting map, allowing Texas to use the map for the 2026 midterms. Now, does that mean that the 2026 midterms are a slam dunk? I don't think so. And like I said yesterday, and I keep saying, more people on the Republican side and on the conservative side have to take these smaller elections seriously. We looked at the Tennessee elections, and we pointed out the fact that margin was so slim because most conservatives don't take these smaller or lower elections seriously. So we do have to take it seriously. But the announcement, nonetheless, is huge because the Republicans have just gained 5 more seats. Now, President Trump has just dropped a bombshell by ordering the Department of Justice to conduct a comprehensive probe into Act Blue, the Democrat Party's fundraising platform, over allegations of widespread election fraud and illicit foreign contributions. So we talk about the interference from the census, where foreign nationals are allowed to vote in American elections. However, there is the question of foreign interference when it comes to funding and other means that they use to move the Democrat agenda forward. So let's listen to this report.
Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue. This is a Democratic donation platform, and the focus as the allegations about illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called Act Blue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. Act Blue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the Act Blue website. Republicans use something similar called Win Red. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using the Act Blue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months.
Well, Act Blue has featured a lot in a bunch of reports recently, and there are concerns that there are foreign donors who essentially move forward policies that the Democrats use in order to push their agenda. Now, I didn't know about Win Red, and this is the first time I'm hearing about Win Red. So if Act Blue is going to be under the microscope, I assume that Win Red also will be under the microscope or has already passed the smell test. All right. So Patricia says, in completing her first thought, to get around counting non-citizens to manipulate voting district formation. And again, this takes us back to the conversation around the illegal aliens who were brought into the country and moved into these red states and red districts in order to shift these states and districts to become more progressive or Democrat. I think, Patricia, did we discuss yesterday the fact that Minnesota used to be red, and then the surge of Somalians flipped it blue? I'm not sure if we discussed that, but somewhere at the back of my mind, I think it was a conversation I either had with you, or I had it with someone, or I heard it on on the news. I have information overload. I hear so many things. I'm studying, I'm listening. I want as much information so that I'm as informed as I can be as someone who doesn't live in the States, but at least when I talk about these things, I should know enough. So can you confirm if you were the one who told me about the fact that Minnesota or Minneapolis was flipped from being deep red to blue at some point because of the surge of Somalians? I'm trying to remember if you were the one who told me, but these are the kinds of manipulations that happen when you have a surge in immigration. Even when it's documented, you have people who feel beholden to one political party, who haven't lived in the United States to essentially form a proper voting opinion. And then they immediately flip these districts to become more Democrat. And that's what people have been raising an alarm over. Patricia says, the only slam dunk for 2026 midterms elections is how many people turn out for the vote. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Yeah, and I've been saying this. Now, let me ask a question. When I say, or when I encourage people to vote, now, because I don't live in the United States, okay, does what I do count as interference? If it does, then I'm just going to have to read the comments, okay? I may have to stop saying it, all right? I may have to stop saying it, and I may have to just say, look, maybe some of you write it in the comment section and I read it out. So it's not something that is coming from me. You know, it's like, what's going on with me and my ability to work legally here in Canada? I'm working through my paperwork to be able to work a 9-to-5, a regular 9-to-5. And because I'm a law-abiding immigrant, until my paperwork is done, I don't even put out a job application. I wait until it's done. Okay, I worked for 3 years in trucking as an analyst, and once my paperwork expired and took a while to fix, I had to, essentially stop looking for work. So if this is going to be something in the future that people can point out to say, look, you talk a big game about not interfering with people's elections, but you encourage Republicans to get out there and vote, aren't you interfering with elections? It's something that I want to be sure about. So what do you think, and what does the law say? Okay. Me getting on my live stream and saying, if you're conservative and Republican, take small elections seriously. Don't just focus on the presidential elections. So let me know what you think and what the law says. If you know what the law says, let me know in the chat. Patricia says, yes, we talked about illegal aliens being specifically located in certain voting districts. Yeah, so it was Patricia and I that had that conversation. Okay. Now, let's see. Oops, sorry. That was discussed when I called you. Okay, yeah. So it's there's more information. So here's what happened. Okay, they flew illegal aliens into Somerset, Kentucky, a very small airport that does not have people working there. The Dems have tried to get rid of our Congressman Hal Rogers for years. Okay, so that is what we discussed. So look, guys. The Democrats have these strategies laid out. They are barely legal, but when they do it, their hope is that no one notices until it's too late and these districts have been flipped blue. And once these districts are flipped blue, they immediately run policies through that ensure that those districts stay blue. That's their game plan. All right. People talk about both parties not playing fair. I would say that the party that tends to cheat the most and is most ruthless is the Democrat Party, because they rarely let any district slip out of their fingers. They make sure that their hooks are in every part of that district. They buy votes by offering free everythings. They figure out ways to ensure that money is being distributed one way or another. They enter into community groups like, school boards, teachers' unions, everything. They get their tentacles into everything to ensure that they never lose these districts. Conservatives like to take the high road and try to play like, okay, let's play fair. Let's meet at the polling booth. We stop campaigning after the elections. The Democrats never stop campaigning. They never stop campaigning. They're always on one project or another. They are always they are activists. They continue to push their agenda in every way they can. So I think conservatives need to learn a thing or two from them. Now, I've mentioned a few things about the Republicans in Congress, and I'm going to just use this moment to talk about it again. I have said that Republicans in Congress seem to have gone to bed, and in this report, Ron DeSantis essentially made some noise about it. So let's listen to this. And look, guys, just let me know your thoughts in the chat, okay? It's great that we get to kind of do these reviews. I'm speed running through a few reports because it's Friday. We may go over the hour mark because there's so much to talk about. And again, I would love to have a lot of conversation in the chat. So let me know your thoughts in the chat. All right, so here's Ron DeSantis.
What should be the bullet points? I think it's economy, immigration. Like, we don't talk about immigration as much as we were maybe when Biden was letting it in. The border is secure. We've stopped the influx. He's now working on a moratorium of new people coming in, particularly from some of these countries where the people are hostile. That's a huge victory for people. They need to be talking about that and go even bolder on that. I just think you got to be bold. I think you got to be strong. And I think one of the frustrations with the Congress is, what have they done since August till now? They really haven't done anything, right? And it's like, if I were, I'd be like every day coming out with something new and make the Democrats go on the record, show the contrast. Think about why we've been able to win big in Florida is because there's a very sharp contrast to what we're doing and what what the liberal Democrats stand for. Parents' rights, illegal immigration, tax cut, anything you can think of. Most voters knew we were on their side, and I think you got to really make that sharp. But I would tell you, the Democrats, they caused a lot of this with the inflation, and now they're acting like it was like they had nothing to do with it.
You do good on the couch. You got to come in more often. Sorry.
Yeah, so Democrats act that way because they expect you to have amnesia. All right, so continuing this thought, because this report this video, from Ron DeSantis, talking about the things that the GOP should be hammering on. He mentioned immigration. So let's continue the thought about the immigrants being flown into Somerset, Kentucky. Patricia said they thought no one would notice the plane's landing. They were wrong because it disrupted people's sleep, and they wondered what was going on at 2 a.m. at the airport that rarely had night flights. So, these are things that have happened. All right. Now, do you have any, and I'm speaking to everyone out there, okay? Do you have any thoughts on Ron DeSantis' statement on what we've talked about concerning the Democrats' activities in moving immigrants who are favorable to Democrat policies into red districts and red states? I've talked about it. It's an idea, and let me tell you something. Okay, some people would consider this as, okay, this is a conspiracy theory. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think it's just basic strategy. If you're allowed to do something, if you're allowed to move people who don't have roots. Essentially, these immigrants don't have any roots in the United States. The Democrats do a good job at positioning their policies. Let me tell you something, okay? How do immigrants who have never been to the United States feel like they owe the Democrat Party something when they get into the country and they immediately begin to vote Democrat? Why is it that you don't see the Somali population, for example, voting red? Why is it that you don't see people from other races who come in and immediately start voting red? It's only recently where people all over the world began to see what was going on with the politics in the United States and began to literally say, look, we are conservative and we will vote with the Republican Party. It was because of Trump. It was because of the stuff that was highly covered on how the Democrats attacked Trump and the policies that they pushed, especially around the transgender movement and the policies there. So when these people come in, they're like, okay, we're conservative, and I guess we're going to vote Republican. But for the most part, especially people who are from countries like Somalia, they tend to come in primed to vote Democrat. And why is that? All right, give me your thoughts in the chat if you have any ideas. Now, here's my theory. This is my theory. There's no study behind it, but here's my theory. My theory is that Hollywood has served as a very strong ambassador for the Democrat Party. That's my theory. All right. I was watching, was it Stranger Things? I was watching Stranger Things last week, the latest episode. And in one of the episodes, the latest releases, and in one of the episodes, one of the characters on the show who appeared Republican was having dinner or something with the family, and they said something about being nice to people unless they're Democrat. Now, I don't know any Republican who goes around telling people that that they literally don't like Democrats and they would act hatefully against Democrats. I don't know any Republican that would do or say that. If you do, okay, fine, let us know in the chat. But I don't know anyone who does that. So Democrats have Hollywood has essentially positioned Republicans, or have portrayed Republicans as being hateful, as being intolerant, as being people who can't stand Democrats. Okay. Meanwhile, it's the Democrats who act that way. They're the ones, they're essentially projecting their attitude onto the Republicans. Republicans tend to be welcoming and very common sense and are willing to debate and are willing to discuss ideas. That's my experience. So that's my theory. Let me know what your theory is as to why this tends to happen. Okay, so Patricia in the chat says, nope, no conspiracy theory. We noticed an influx of Hispanic people into the Somerset area. Then hotels, gas stations, and small grocery stores started selling out to people from Pakistan and India. Look at that. It was strange thinking a small rural area was known to people coming from these countries. They had no family or friends here. Everyone noticed. Okay. These things are engineered. They're strategized and they're implemented. And because, one of the things that is helping right now is the internet. The internet is helping people like Patricia tell these stories on my live stream. And on live streams everywhere, people are telling these stories. They're telling these stories. And what helps is that we can all see on the internet how this is playing out everywhere in the world. Okay? It's playing out that way everywhere in the world. So Ron DeSantis is essentially pushing that the GOP should stand their ground, especially on this issue of immigration. Okay? Make a lot of noise about it. Right now, no one has been able to inform me yet if my position on talking to my listeners who are American and who are conservatives to head out and take local elections seriously. I've asked the question: is it election interference for someone like me to do that? Just let me know, because until I know that, I'm not going to be comfortable doing it, because A, I am not an American citizen. B, I don't even vote in the United States of America. My daughter is a citizen, but I'm not. So I want to know that we're doing things by the book here. Okay. Yes, it's true that only a handful of people, who are currently watching these videos are hearing this, but do you know what? It'll be great to know that we're doing the right thing. Okay. Now, am I being too much of a stickler for the rules? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat. Now, CNN CNN is joining the Democrat Party again because they are claiming that that the fishermen, because they're calling the narco terrorists fishermen now, didn't have radios. So let's listen to this report because this is Friday and it's as if the news outlets just took a huge dump on the internet. There's just so much to choose from. We're going to talk about this story because we talked about it several times, but here's CNN trying to sanitize the image of these narco terrorists.
Brass was taking questions behind closed doors from lawmakers, but CNN has exclusive reporting tonight from sources with direct knowledge of those briefings that the admiral told them that the two survivors in the water did not appear to have radio or other communications devices. That matters because defense officials that we've been hearing from have been quietly arguing that the survivors were legitimate targets because they appeared to be radioing for help or backup, reinforcements that could theoretically allow them to have continued to traffic the drugs that were on board that boat. However, despite that, and according to our new reporting here at CNN tonight from my colleagues, Admiral Bradley today acknowledged that those two survivors were in no position to make a distress call.
Well, do you know what? We've covered this again and again, and it's really common sense. If anyone is coming into your country, again, I will call loads of fentanyl in boats heading to the United States. I would consider that as deadly as a suitcase nuke, because with the amount of fentanyl that they're transporting, it could have the same casualty numbers as the explosion of a suitcase nuke. The lives that are being destroyed by these drugs, okay, are just as many as lives that could be destroyed if a nuclear bomb were transported to the United States. These Democrats who are protecting the narco terrorists, because what they're trying to do here is this: Trump is winning on the war on drugs front that the Democrats and past Republican presidents have never had this kind of success on. They've never had this kind of success. He's blowing these drugs out of the water long before they arrive. He's taking care of business. All right, just like when he sent the National Guard into Washington, D.C., and the citizens of Washington, D.C. essentially said, we can walk around at night again. The streets are safe now. The Democrats don't want you to hear that report. They don't want you to hear that the citizens in Chicago or the citizens in these cities where President Trump has sent the National Guard to are feeling safer because of his actions. No, they want to spin a narrative that says the National Guard is there to watch law-abiding citizens. This is Big Brother through President Trump. He's trying to be authoritarian. That's the spin that they're trying to make. And in this situation with the narco terrorists, they are essentially trying to say that President Trump is committing war crimes. So, in their opinion, they value the lives of two people in a boat bringing weapons of mass destruction into the United States over the hundreds of thousands of people whose lives are being destroyed by these substances that these criminals transport. They're going to bring this spin about, these people are being forced by these cartels to do it. Their families are being held hostage. Okay, let's say that's the case. Let's assume that's the case. Are they saying, let the catastrophe happen to 200,000 American lives so that we can save the lives of two anonymous crewmen or crew members on a boat transporting illegal drugs that could destroy 200,000 lives? The lives of these narco transporters, let's not call them terrorists because we're using their narrative now. The lives of these two narco transporters is is exceedingly more important than the lives of the American citizens that will be destroyed by these drugs. That's what these Democrats are arguing. All right. Now, I don't see the sense in that math at all. I don't see the sense in that math. Your loyalty should first of all be to your own citizens. That's the first thing. Should first of all be to your own citizens. And if you're busy running cover for narco-terrorists who are responsible for destroying the lives of hundreds of thousands of American lives, okay, there's a problem with that picture. Now, do you support the narrative that they're pushing? Now, while we're looking at this this situation, something really dark is being reported on Fox News, and we're going to play this report. Maybe we're not going to go through the entire report, but we're going to just play it out, and then you let me know what you think of this report.
Move over, Maryland dad. Democrats have a new crush. He doesn't wear a Bulls hat. He's a cocaine cowboy of the Caribbean. But don't you dare call him the N-word.
There is no such thing as a narco-terrorist. There are very, very bad narcotics people, cartels, etc., but they're desperate to make this look like it's ISIS or al-Qaeda because that's the very thin line on which their illegal use of the United States military to take these people out resides.
Remember, they said there's no such thing as Antifa either. Now they say they're just fishermen trying to make an honest living.
Most narco traffickers are not in those boats. They pay people to do that, and usually people who are not significantly involved with narco trading. It's the way they make money.
That's like saying most sex traffickers aren't the ones driving the girls around to turn tricks. Those guys are just chauffeurs trying to make money. I guess if a man can be a woman, then a drug trafficker can be a boat captain. ABC says family of a fisherman killed in U.S. boat strike files human rights complaint. A fisherman? Are we going to start calling Epstein an accountant? Did Truman call Hitler the Austrian painter? This just in. The Associated Press says one of the guys on the boat we smoked was a longtime local crime boss who made his living smuggling drugs and women. Che Martinez was jailed in Venezuela on human trafficking charges. This was a bad hombre, and he wasn't trolling for marlin. These boats reek, and it's not because they're packed with pogies. These vessels are stacked to the gills with cocaña. Democrats just say, relax, it's just a little party boat snapping pics of the sunset.
People on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean carrying cocaine are not a direct threat to the lives of our service members or Americans.
The cartels have killed more Americans than al-Qaeda. They're a direct threat. Overdose deaths, addiction, gang violence, sex trafficking, prostitution, carjacking, all emanate from the drug.
And so why is it okay? Why is it okay to run cover for criminals? Why is it acceptable now for Democrats to run cover for criminals? And essentially now they are trying to make it seem like President Trump has to be reported to the International Criminal Court for war crimes, and Pete Hegseth should also be reported for war crimes. And they're going to say this is an illegitimate presidency because his cabinet has engaged in war crimes. It's, you know, I'm thinking this through, and the more I think it through, the more incensed I get. All right, let's jump into the chat because I don't want to kind of forget that we're having the review and then we're having the conversation. So Patricia says this because I asked the question about, me making some suggestions about Americans voting and taking note of local elections. Patricia says, you are following the steps to become a citizen. That is honorable. The right way to become a citizen of a country you have legally immigrated to. We welcome new citizens in Canada and America. Yes, and you know what? I am grateful to Canada for welcoming my family and giving us a path to citizenship, and we're doing our best to follow that path. I don't come here trying to change Canada to become like the country I fled. I don't. I speak English. I respect the social norms. Okay. The norms that I don't agree with, I keep to myself. I don't go out there trying to make Canada look like where I came from. So it's important that, like, whenever I see people try to do that, okay, so recently I heard a report that there were a bunch of people waving Palestinian flags and screaming Allahu Akbar downtown in the city where I live. And I was like, wow, you know, these people are just desperate to transform Canada into a shithole. All right. And I'm like, look, I love it the way it is. Yes, even some Canadians believe that things are going south. But I don't need other immigrants coming in to create problems where there are none. All right. So let's listen to this. I feel like there's something more to be said on this video or in this video. So let's just listen a little bit more, and then just because I'm seeing Democrats essentially go on camera to defend criminals.
Why can we bomb Toyota Tundras in the desert but not Coke boats in the Caribbean? They won't tell us. America's dropped bombs on weddings. Apparently, it's bipartisan. We showed you last night, George W. bombed a wedding in Afghanistan. Barack bombed a different wedding in Yemen. Bombs away, Barry bombed hundreds of innocent civilians during the war on terror. Some of the strikes were double taps. And they didn't call him a murderer. They called him Messiah. But Barack's trigger puller, loose cannon Leon Panetta, wants to send Pistol Pete to The Hague.
These were individuals in the water who were wounded. It is against the law to strike and kill those individuals. They did that. As far as I'm concerned, there is a war crime involved here, and it's for that reason that I think we need to hold people accountable.
This idiot, I'm sorry, he's older than me, but he's an idiot. He's the guy who essentially was responsible for the drone strikes that Barack Obama ordered during his presidency. Hundreds of drone strikes. This guy droned weddings, droned civilians, and he has the gall to come on air to say that President Trump has committed war crimes for knocking out boats filled with drugs and fentanyl that could destroy American lives, heading to the United States. They weren't heading elsewhere. They were heading to the United States. So whenever you see these hypocrites come up and try to smear someone who is protecting the interests of the average American citizen, all right, you know that these people are evil.
Is Leon telling us that he never called in a second airstrike ever in 8 years? Is Leon saying he sent helicopters to give ISIS first aid when they survived an airstrike? Did anyone ever survive a Leon Panetta airstrike? Barry dropped 12,000 bombs on Syria in a single year without congressional approval. Obama killed about 4,000 people with drones.
Now, I don't know what to say about this. Okay, the hypocrisy is outstanding. I can't comprehend how anyone can look at these numbers and say that President Trump is worse. How many bombs has President Trump dropped in his entire presidency? Okay, let me know in the chat if you have an idea what that number is. When one president dropped thousands in 1 year, and he happens to be Barack Obama. Okay, let me know how many President Trump has dropped in his 2 terms so far.
800 of them were innocent civilians. Trump's not going to be lectured by anyone on war crimes. He's been a peace president, and he's gone out of his way to be surgical, precise, and humane.
Now, I want to go into the chat. Patricia says it's that fentanyl is more deadly than 9/11 because when you have 200,000, look, 200 9/11s happened last year. with all the narco boats that brought in drugs, responsible for destroying 200,000 American lives. In 9/11, it's estimated that about 1,000 people died in that attack during 9/11. It's over that, but about 1,000. When 200,000 Americans die in 1 year, that is 200 9/11s. As a result of these narco boats and drugs coming into the United States. The excuse the Democrats give is that you don't know who these people are. They're fishermen, the U.S. government. Okay, so if we're working with that narrative, can the Democrats give us the names of every single person that was droned under Barack Obama? 800 civilians were killed during his drone strikes. Can they present us with those facts? Of course, they'll say this isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about fishermen in, in the Pacific or in the Gulf of America. All right, this is just sheer hypocrisy. Patricia says, fentanyl is traced back to China, and everyone knows that they supply cartels with the resources to produce it. True. China is using chemical warfare against America. Democrats have somehow become supporters of allowing drug cartels into America because it is beneficial for them to have a population that is useless and dependent on the government. That is the plan. Whenever you have a population that is filled with addicts, it means that people are going to be in favor of big government, because if the families of these addicts can't help them, they need big government to create programs that allow for the addicts to be, to be now what's the word I'm looking for? Rehabilitated. And these government programs and subsidies are things that people depend on. As long as there's chaos in the streets, big government is appealing to people. That's what the Democrats are depending on. As long as Trump solves all of these problems, the need for big government goes away. I mean, you need to be able to connect the dots, guys. You need to be able to connect the dots. Patricia says, the cartels have been identified as terrorists, and therefore the birth of narco-terrorists. It does not matter who carries out the order to transport chemical warfare to America. They are members of cartels. I've said it again and again. If these Democrats were in office during the Second World War, they would essentially roll over and play dead and let Hitler win the war. Because they'll be saying, look at those young Aryan youths dying while our soldiers mow them down. Oh, the horror. Oh, let's stop. We need to know their history. What are their dreams and their hopes? Oh, I mean, it's so horrible. It's a war crime. Oh, my goodness. Oh. That's essentially what these idiots will do. People are coming to kill you, and you're busy wondering what their hopes and dreams are. Zuli G 8540 is the first time I'm seeing you. So have you been watching my content long? Is this your first time of chatting? Because this is my first time of reading your chat. All right. Thank you so much for chatting. You are so right. They want to get our country like the caves they came from. It's true. It's true. Whenever you have immigrants who come in and they don't integrate, they don't assimilate. The first way you know someone isn't interested in assimilating is, one, the language. They don't bother to learn the language. They don't. Two, they don't learn the Constitution. They don't. You need to know the Constitution. In fact, look, I'm not going to say more than this because I have never taken a citizenship test or exam in the States. So, does anybody know what happens when an immigrant is preparing to become a citizen? I hear that there's an exam they need to take. All right. And last year, I heard a lot from Vivek Ramaswamy. He said that that there's a citizenship exam that is to be taken before you become a citizen. Now, how is it that it appears that some citizens still don't know how to speak the language? Is it that the government of the United States has decided to set these citizenship exams in Spanish? I don't know. But anyone who becomes a citizen needs to know these things, needs to show signs that they are willing to assimilate. That is the difference between the migrants we see today and the immigrants who came into the United States years ago. Years ago, you had people who came in from Jews from Europe. You had people from Italy, people who came to the United States because they loved the United States and they wanted their children to be Americans. They didn't come to the United States to change the United States to become like Europe. They came to the United States because they wanted to be Americans. All right. They raised children and grandchildren who don't even speak the language of the cities and the countries they came from. Zuli G says those idiots are enemy traitors. Yeah, I'm sure he's referring to the Democrats. I don't recall any. I'm trying to so I asked a question and Zuli G is answering. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't remember the question I asked, but you know, it's amazing. Now, if you're watching and you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. Okay, share it among people who you believe are like-minded. Okay, one of my regulars sent it to a family member who was upset that he sent a conservative live stream to her, and she freaked out. So send it to your friends who share the same ideas with you and would love to be a part of these live conversations. Think of this as a talk show where you get to hang out and chat with the talk show host, and he doesn't stop until he's read your comments. Okay, that's what we're doing here. You leave your comments and your thoughts, and we will read it and have a conversation. This is Friday evening. It's the weekend. All right, we're going to talk and share our thoughts on these things that are happening in the United States. And if you have any stories that you think will tie in nicely with what we're talking about, feel free to send a link, and or mention it, and then we could consider pulling up the videos of those stories to see and to talk about these things, because it is important for us to expose the lies and the hypocrisy. It's very important. All right. Patricia says the bombing Trump is responsible for were strategic strikes that were meant to take out specific targets. There was a bunch, Syria and Iran, but not as much as we saw with Barack Obama. Okay, they make Barack Obama sound like he was Jesus Christ. All right, and it's all propaganda, guys. It's all propaganda. Like the guy was just a snake. I'll call him a snake. Well, he meant to sneak gay marriage into Nigeria. Okay, are you against gay marriage? I'll say one thing. Okay, people who practice certain kinds of lifestyles and don't care about the religion that pushes marriage, because conservative religions tend to push marriage, okay, because it's all about having sexual intercourse within a union, a covenant union, okay. Conservatives believe in that. All right. If you weren't conservative, you would not be talking about marriage. You would sleep with everything that moved. That is what marriage brings out in you. It brings out a conservative bent to you. They only wanted to get into marriage because they wanted to get into the church. That's why. Okay? They wanted to get into the church. And once they got their hooks into, now gay people want to get married, and Gavin Newsom carried out that stupid movement or move that he made years ago when it was still illegal to get married as a gay person or have gay marriage in California. He lined up a bunch of gay people, carried out a sham wedding. And then when it was knocked down, he said, oh, look, it wasn't me, it was the state. All of that was just an attempt to start a conversation to force religious conservative groups to begin to accept gay marriage. But do you know what? How come they left the Muslims alone? How come they don't force? Have you ever seen a gay married Muslim couple? How come it's the church that has to put up with all this nonsense? It was just a ploy to get into the church. Okay? If you've seen a gay practicing Orthodox Muslim couple, okay, introduce them, please. They don't exist. So how come it's all about destroying conservative values as provided or as taught by the church? Now, how did I go down this rabbit hole? Obama trying to force gay marriage on Nigeria. Yeah. So I don't like him very much because of that. I don't hate him, but I'm not a fan. All right. Patricia says, if the Democrats were against the drug cartels delivering China's fentanyl to America, China's attack would fail. They are in collaboration with China. They are. Zuli G says, it's my first time. Zuli G, you're welcome. Thank you for jumping in and joining the family. Okay, this is a family, it's a community. And you know what? I'm glad that you found us, okay? I don't know, how did you find us? Did you just see a notification? Did you see the thumbnail? Let me know how you found us. I'm curious because I like to meet new people. I'm excited that you're here, Zuli G. Thank you for jumping into the comments section and letting us know that that you're here, okay? But I'd love to know how you found us. All right, so Zuli G, talking about the citizenship examination, a text like, okay, so he's still typing. Patricia says, they study the Constitution and take a test before they are granted citizenship. One requirement is to be able to speak and read English. Why are we finding people who okay, so maybe I am confused. Maybe I am assuming things. But from what you've seen so far, guys, if you live in the United States, from what you've seen so far, have you found anyone who claims to be a U.S. citizen? Because I keep hearing these people on TDSBC saying, oh, look, ICE is arresting American citizens. And how come these people don't speak English? How come they don't speak English whenever they're arrested and then they're screaming out in Spanish, help me, help me? How come that's going on? Are these American citizens who can't speak English? Okay. It's a requirement. Zuli G agrees. You have to read and speak the language. Patricia says, I share on Facebook and let people decide for themselves. My daughter watched you. Are you serious? Okay. I'm almost scared to ask what she thinks. I'm scared to ask what she thinks. Okay. I'm scared. Not that that is anything bad, but whenever someone who doesn't know me and is meeting me for the first time watches me, like I look at the statistics on YouTube, and there are a lot of people that just show up. They see a black guy with an accent talking about American politics, and they say, "Nah, they go somewhere else." So it's just me being self-aware. Okay, I want to be liked. I want to be liked, but like I tell you guys, I will simply do my best to tell the truth. I will just try hard to tell the truth. Okay, so let's keep listening to this report. Keep your chats coming. We're going to go through all the chats. It's Friday night, guys. It's Friday night. Okay, so we're going to just relax and talk. So let's go through this video. He's still breaking down some facts. One of the most painful things that I see is the lies that mainstream media is projecting on the rest of us. They want us to believe that President Trump has committed this thing that no other president has ever done. We have Norm Eisen saying that in the history of the American state that no president has ever declared war without the constitutional powers granted them by Congress. And yet we saw a bunch of them. 9 presidents have done that. So Norm Eisen is a liar. He's a liar. Okay?
He's killed 80 narco-terrorists. None of them were innocent civilians. Barack Obama, in his last year in office, dropped 25,000 bombs across 7 countries. And Democrats are mad that Trump dropped 2 in the water.
I think Pete Hegseth, it's impossible to imagine that he survives this as Secretary of Defense. I think he must resign, and I think Republicans will ask for that ultimately once they investigate this. But this is a disaster for this generation of people serving in the United States military.
A disaster? Everybody in the military knows this is standard op. A former infantry rifle platoon leader said this: "My battalion commander nicknamed me Bombardier 6 because I love dropping 500-pound bombs on the enemy. The military doesn't get one chance to destroy the enemy." General Jack Keane put it perfectly. Listen.
If the target is a boat and people, the mission is to destroy the boat and kill the people. In about 25% of these kind of attacks, we do reattack. Either if the facility was the objective, to destroy the rest of the facility. If the people is the objective, to kill the rest of the people. That's just the reality of what we're dealing with. And people got to get their head around this.
Southern Command analyzed the results of the first strike and concluded that the boat was still partially intact and most of the cocaine was still sitting in the stern. The narcotics could have easily been scooped up and run north to Miami. So he launched a second strike and put the boat and the coke in the bottom of the sea. Can you believe this is a controversy? Trump's not flinching an inch.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the initial
No, I
strike?
support the decision to knock out the boats. And whoever's piloting those boats, most of them are gone. But whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country.
Trump designated the cartels terrorists. That changes the rules of engagement. We're actually fighting the war on drugs, like a war. But the media would rather play cops and robbers.
So Democrats, and of course the press, trying to be politically correct, don't seem to understand what is going on here. People who are bringing weapons of mass destruction, I'm going to continue to call them weapons of mass destruction, because if you don't call them that and you think it's just cocaine, just this powder, this innocuous powder that people sniff at parties or in grimy toilets or bathrooms in seedy nightclubs, that's not what that is. It's laced with fentanyl. And it has been responsible for killing over 200,000 Americans. I'm going to keep repeating this. Okay. Patricia says, Obama armed the cartels with military weapons, the Fast and Furious operation. Look at that. Look at that. Now, anyone else in the chat ever heard of this operation? Let me know, because look, there's stuff I'm hearing while doing this live stream that I've never heard before. I'm like, really? And I'm learning new things. So thank you, Patricia, for that. You have Democrat administrations arming terrorists, arming cartels, and all of that is eventually attacking American citizens. Patricia says, the operation was exposed when a border guard was shot and killed. The investigation turned up that he was killed with an American-made weapon. Again, Patricia says, communists destroy religion. Anyone who worships anything but their government are the enemies of their state, which is true. Which is true. Zuli G says, I was looking for information on YouTube. That's how I found you. Okay, so that's how you found me. Okay, you're looking for information. Okay, I hope you're I hope you're enjoying your time here. Now, let's see. Now, we've been watching this, and let's watch this segment of this video, and then we will jump over to another story.
Why isn't it possible to just interdict them the way that we do with the Coast Guard, where you go and take the drugs and then put those people on trial and investigate, and then follow the drugs to their source of origin and then take care of it there. Like, none of this makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. We can't interdict them there because the Coast Guard's been doing this for 4 decades, and it hasn't worked.
Yep.
They want us to keep doing what doesn't work. Why? Because they don't want Trump to be successful? Or maybe they love drugs. I don't know.
Well, I think it's both. So let me know in the chat. Is it one or the other? Is it both? Is it that they just don't want Trump to succeed? Or is it that they don't want the drugs to be destroyed? Or is it both? Let me know in the chat. All right, so the next story, Dan Bongino says that the FBI pipe bomber, wasn't caught because it appeared that the people at the FBI didn't want to catch the guy. All right, so let's watch this report and listen to Dan. The pipe bomber was recently apprehended, and earlier in the year there was another person who was revealed to be the pipe bomber. They said software had revealed through gait analysis, that is the gait, the way someone walks, and they were sure it was that person. I intentionally refused to report on that because I wanted that story to breathe. And then that person was not arrested. And then when this story broke, I didn't want to talk about it. But since they're moving forward to a court appearance, I decided to cover it. So here's Dan Bongino.
You did not find any new evidence. It was all there, had been there for the longest period of time. The only difference between you and Director Wray and the Biden DOJ is they did not prioritize it. Why? And I know it wasn't easy to solve, but you did it in 8 months.
Yeah. Sean, I don't know what the hell this prior leadership team was doing outside of, targeting political opponents, weaponizing the FBI, destroying its reputation, embarrassing agents that are doing really good work out there, catching terrorists, CCP spies and everyone else. It's almost like they were intentionally trying to decimate faith in institutions. It's horrifying. I don't know what they were doing. I can tell you what happened, though, when we got there, the director and I. My first meeting, I swore in, and I kid you not, probably 15 minutes later, and the people who are in the meeting know, I said, when I get in there, I want a full brief on this pipe bomber case on day one. And I looked at the case agent after getting a full brief on what they'd done, and they had done a pretty extensive amount of work. They had chased down, I think, thousands of leads, 6,000 plus interviews had been conducted, hundreds of tips, and it still was relatively stale, the case. And I grabbed the case agent on the way out, and I said, "You're going to get me this guy. You're going to track this guy down, and you're going to find him. You're going to get me this guy. I want him." And that started what's been almost a 9-month operation right now to make sure that we could get full accountability and transparency to the American public and find this guy. And today we did. But Sean, I have to add this because this is really important. You've heard all the cliches, team effort. You hear it all the time in sports. I said it today at the presser, but I want to emphasize this. This was a team. Judge Janine, Deputy Attorney General Blanche, people you and I know very well, AG Bondi, you cannot do anything in the FBI without DOJ.
Okay, so essentially, he says all of the evidence was already there. And still, this person wasn't caught. And he's saying that essentially, this wasn't prioritized. Now, here's some archival videos from one of the officials from the Biden era being questioned about the pipe bomber, and here's what he has to say about it under Biden's administration.
One of the top priorities for the FBI is finding that person who left behind the bombs at the RNC and DNC buildings near the Capitol. Those were found just hours before the attack on the U.S. Capitol. And Stephen D'Antuono, who is the assistant director in charge of the Washington field office, talked about that case.
We have done over 900 interviews. In this investigation alone, there's 39,000 videos that has been hours reviewing just on the pipe bomb investigation we're talking about, and over 400 leads, tips that the public have given to us. We follow it all. That's what we're doing on this investigation because it is a top priority for us.
So we've seen the videos, the hooded sweatshirt, the face mask, the backpack, the Nike shoes. Are you surprised that none of this has yielded the tip that brought this forward?
In prior COVID times, in any neighborhood, I think, in the country, if you saw an individual hooded, masked, glasses, gloves on, it would have been a red flag for any individual walking around that day. In this case, it wasn't, because of the environment that we were living in during COVID times.
Well, one of the things we wonder is why the bombs didn't go off.
The bombs could have gone off. They just did not go off. In this area where the bombs were placed, if they did go off, they could have caused some serious harm or death.
All right, so these guys had 4 years to find the pipe bomber. They didn't. All they had were excuses. So my question in the chat is, what do you think? Was this incompetence, a misallocation of resources, because they were the FBI under Biden was busier chasing down leads of people who showed up at the Capitol on January 6th, kicking down doors of grandmas and grandpas who took a leisurely stroll through the Capitol on January 6th. Okay, there was a nationwide manhunt, okay, on people who happened to be conservatives and at the protest. They also took out time from their busy schedule to go after parents who went to school board meetings to complain that their daughters were seeing boys in their locker rooms and in their showers. So the FBI was investigating parents who hated the fact that naked males were entering their daughters' washrooms and bathrooms. So let me know in the chat, was it was it incompetence, a misallocation of resources, or was it something else? Let me know what you think in the chat. Okay, essentially this guy has been picked up, but there are people who believe that the individual who was caught isn't the right guy. We're still going to keep watching this and see how it develops, because this FBI has actually dropped the ball several times, and there are people who don't have confidence in their ability to close this case. Now, there's a lot of ICE protests, anti-ICE protests going on. We're going to cover a story on that very quickly, because we're looking at, like I said, this evening today, it was as if at the end of the week, all the networks just did a dump on the internet of certain news stories, and there's stuff happening all the time, but sometimes we try to pick the right stories to talk about, and sometimes we have to let go of other stories. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Patricia says illegal aliens are not required to do anything except cash in welfare checks because it's being enabled by the Democrat infrastructure. They want to continue to pander to illegal immigrants because once they get them a quick path to citizenship, remember that statement that Chuck Schumer made, that they want nothing less than a fast track to citizenship for over 10 million undocumented immigrants. Imagine that. Imagine what that would mean for the Democrat Party if they got 10 million new voters. All right? It would simply mean this: the United States of America would suddenly be a one-party state, officially, because all that will happen is these immigrants would only vote Democrat. And now that you see what President Trump is doing, President Trump is going to be presenting arguments, or his DOJ will be presenting arguments by next year. I think they say they have a date set for either February or January for arguments against birthright citizenship for parents, for children of non-citizens born in the United States. Now, it's a sore spot for a lot of people. All right. My daughter was born, both her parents are non-citizens. She was born in the United States. That is how she gained her citizenship. It's a sore spot, but When you have something as evil as open borders being, activated by the Biden administration, over 10 million illegal immigrants in the country, many crimes performed by criminal illegal immigrants during the 4-year period of Joe Biden, Americans being killed and assaulted, and a lot of chaos being, carried out in the streets of the United States. Why are people surprised that President Trump is essentially taking a sledgehammer to the whole thing? Why? And they're saying, okay, he's doing it because he's racist. No, I believe he's doing it because enough is enough. Enough insanity. A lot has been going on. Nothing has been done to cure it. The Democrats have continued to increase or ramp up their anti-American activities. President Trump just has to, take a sledgehammer to the entire thing and correct this whole thing. 10 million undocumented immigrants. All right. So, for me, the argument is really straightforward. It's really straightforward. There's no confusion there. Patricia says, my daughter Tonya loves you. She does not repost political things because she's a realtor and sells homes to everyone. Well, tell Tonya that I appreciate her, and I do hope that someday, we'll find her in the chat. I understand the hesitance to post political stuff, especially when it comes to the fact that you use your social media to do business, and then you try to kind of separate those two things. So I do understand, but tell her that I appreciate the fact that she enjoys my content, and I hope that she would show up in the chat someday. Zuli G says I do, and I forget the question. So forgive me. If you could just remind me of the question I asked where you said I do, I apologize. Sorry. Okay, so Patricia says they have tried to confiscate drugs for decades and it failed. I don't think they tried hard enough. They were only making an appearance of trying. It was all an appearance. Oh, we're doing a war on drugs that has lasted for 40 years or more, that didn't yield any tangible results for the American people. Millions or by now billions of dollars spent on the war on drugs that America never won. It's like what Trump said. We're going to start, we will engage in wars and we will win. You see, like in the last 30 years, which war has America, basically won? Even the surge on the Middle East, during the Desert Storm, it wasn't a war that was officially won. It was just billions of American dollars thrown. Was it trillions by then? And yet the Americans didn't see anything that showed that they won anything, but there were many casualties. Many Americans went over there to die. Many of them deformed because they were serving their country, but it wasn't a winning battle. So it's frustrating to see people just, it's a war on drugs. It wasn't. The country wasn't winning. So Zuli G says both. When I asked, is it that they hate President Trump or they don't want the drugs to be stopped? And so does Patricia. She answered both as well. Okay, so let's see. Zuli G says, correct. How come not a single suspect was apprehended? The same in the BLM riots. It's because the Democrats are running a communist handbook. Sow confusion and chaos into the society. And then when chaos has reached fever pitch, the people will cry for the government to come save them and give the government powers that they didn't have before. That's the whole idea. And that's why whenever you hear the Democrats talk, all they want to do is to put fear in their constituents. If you don't vote me in, okay, evil things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. Vote me in and I will do this. There was something that Patricia told me, during our conversation yesterday. She said, she said that do you remember that when President Trump was campaigning in 2016, he didn't say, I will do this, I will do that. He said, we will do this, we will do that. And I suppose he meant we, the American people, will do this, we, the American people, will get this done. So the American identity was represented in his campaign. And essentially, whenever someone tells you, I will do this for you, understand that they have no plans to do anything for you. All right. I've heard those promises for decades. Anyone who says, I will do this for you is overpromising and will not fulfill that promise. Patricia says, for some reason, the Biden administration did not want that person identified. Will be interesting to see where this goes in the future. Yeah, time is our friend. We're going to watch this. We're going to see where this goes. Hopefully, it eventually makes sense. Patricia, well, thank you for promising to tell Tanya. Thank you so much. All right. So Patricia corrects me and says the Gulf War was won. That happens when you allow the military to do their job. Okay. So, all right. So my impression was, well, all that was happening in a time when I wasn't paying attention to politics. I was still in college, and I was just kind of, and those were the years where I believed everything that I saw on CNN. So I've heard a lot about some concerns about, what happened during the Gulf War and so on. But okay, I will take your word for it. All right, the Gulf War, yes, it was won. So let's listen to this report. All right, the anti-ICE chaos that was reported. Okay, so let's we have a couple of videos to go over. It's Friday night, and we'll just see how much we can cover. But keep leaving your comments in the chat.
Thank you. So take a look at this scene. An anti-ICE protest breaking out today at a New Orleans City Council meeting as hundreds of agents arrive in that city for a sweeping immigration crackdown.
Shame! Shame! Shame on you! You know this is wrong! You know this is wrong! No ICE! No KKK! No racist USA!
All right. Brian Kilmeade is with us now, Fox and Friends co-host. That was quite a scene in New Orleans. What did you make of it?
They were there a couple of days ago. They started walking the city streets, seeing what they can do. They had some warrants, but at 9:30, they opened up the town hall. People walked in. Then about 10 o'clock, protesters stormed in. And then it became clear that the people, they have to explain what they were going to talk about before they got up there. And when things were different than that, they began to clear the room and throw them out. And you're seeing people here outraged, I guess, because the whole team, you got the FBI, you got the Border Patrol, you have ICE that are coming to New Orleans because they have an illegal immigration problem, and they have to crack down on them. This is what happens for 4 years when nobody says anything, when our border gets stormed. Now it's up to this administration to have to go back and grab them, find out who's who, and see who the dangerous ones are, check out who the ones that may be allowed to stay, and that just outrages, I guess, in the community. But Sandra, what I have learned is so often the outrage is paid. I mean, how often do we find out that there are people, organizations behind this, and this is their job? They get their $1,000 to go and create havoc and be on your show.
Yeah, so you have these paid protesters, okay, creating chaos when you're at a city council where conversations should be had, but all they do is come, scream, shout, and insult federal agents and make it look like they are the righteous ones. Okay, they look insane if we're going to tell the truth. Standing around and simply shouting shame and frothing at the mouth is not a good look. Have a conversation. It's also been revealed that in Portland, there has been something going on that hasn't been widely reported. Impact fees have been charged on landlords who lease property to ICE. Have a listen.
The Portland City Council just passed a policy that will impose an impact fee on landowners who lease to detention facilities.
Yeah, it's aimed at reducing costs to the city, such as police overtime and chemical cleanup. Fox 12's Julia Lopez joins us live outside City Hall. So, Julia, what was the mood at the City Council?
Well, there was a lot of back and forth and some frustrations. And while Portland's ICE detention facility is not named in this policy, it was at the center of discussions today as the fee passed with 9 yes votes and 2 no's.
They are getting tear gassed in their homes every single day.
Portland City Council passed an ordinance to move fees related to police overtime and environmental cleanup at detention facilities away from taxpayers and onto landlords. Supporting counselors say they aim to mitigate harm done to residential areas, such as the South Waterfront, which houses Portland's ICE detention facility.
So this report essentially is letting us know that the city of Portland has decided to punish landlords who lease their buildings or their property or apartments to ICE. That essentially means that they are weaponizing their offices to create pain whenever anyone provides a service to the federal government. Let's call it what it is. Okay, let's call it what it is. They can't outright go up in arms against the federal government, but they create these policies, these shadow policies that don't appear to be violent, but they are a great inconvenience to federal operations within Portland. So here you have New Orleans, and in the chat, you guys have made some amazing points. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the chat. All right, so Patricia says Saddam Hussein left Kuwait, and his military tried to leave Kuwait. Right, so that was the first Desert Storm. No, that one was a victory. I meant the Desert Storm 2.0 with George Bush Jr. Okay, and even that I'm not sure. So let me know in the chat what the status on that was. Did America win that, or was it just something else? Zuli G says Patricia is right. Yes, they did. Okay, now that Desert Storm, I was still in middle school when that happened. So I didn't know much of what was going on. Julie G says, those are communist liberals being paid by Soros. Yeah. And Patricia says, those people sure did not sound like they were from Louisiana. Exactly. They sound like they were from California. Okay, it sounds like they're from California. These are paid protesters. These are paid protesters who are bussed all over the country to create chaos. All right. Now, the federal government does need to investigate this because it is a problem. If you have a paid group of agitators, it's almost like someone paying an army within your borders to create disturbance. I was watching a live streamer. Her name is Caroline Borshenko, and she's difficult to place. She positions herself as a conservative, or let me just say a libertarian. I'll just call her a libertarian. She's middle of the road, and she's infiltrated Antifa and has a lot of information on them and dirt on them. And she said a bunch of things in the live stream that I watched, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. She essentially said that, look, these people are dedicated, they're committed, and their job is to just protest and outlast you. Okay? While you're busy trying to do your job, they are protesting, they are mobilizing, they're figuring out ways to outlast you. And they will protest, like in Portland, in this facility in Portland, they were protesting for over 100 days before I found out about it. They had been there constantly every day for 100 days. And also at other ICE facilities, they are all there. And they are paid. This is their job. Just like you said, they are paid. They come from outside of these cities and they just create chaos. Patricia says, yes, Zuli G, you're absolutely correct. They are paid protesters. Patricia says, when Cuba fell to communist leadership, America did not give up the base there. I doubt the federal government will give up their federal offices in sanctuary cities. I doubt that as well. I don't think they should, and I don't think they will. I don't think they should, and I don't think they will. All right, so let's get the last story in. I'm going to read the rest of your comments in the chat, but I just want to wrap up the stories that we aim to cover. Now, this is the last batch of stories. The Democrat Party is trying to shove in a new bill or something, or I don't know what they call it. Is it a bill to extend the tax credits to 3 years so that it survives the Trump administration? It goes through the entirety of the Trump administration. I said something this afternoon. I said, what I suspect is that they're trying to hook these tax credits into the Trump administration so that he can't make any changes while he's in office. They're trying to ensure that they protect these credits so that Obamacare survives, because maybe President Trump is working on an alternative to Obamacare and they want to hamstring him with a 3-year bill that essentially forces him to not be able to make those changes. So let's listen to Hakeem Jeffries give us a lot of word salad and not answer the question about why they're asking for this 3-year extension.
Why 3 years on the ACA tax credits? I mean, doesn't that seem kind of unrealistic, if we're being honest? And wouldn't the bipartisan efforts that she mentioned in the House, like the Common Ground framework, be a little bit more realistic path forward in regards to addressing the healthcare issue?
It's my understanding that the Common Ground framework has the support perhaps of a handful of members of the House of Representatives, less than 10, as far as I can tell. Now, we're open to having good faith discussions with any House Republican who's serious about extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. But the House Republican leadership is not. They've repeatedly said they have no interest in addressing the Affordable Care Act tax credit issue. In fact, Donald Trump and his administration were apparently prepared to put forth a proposal that Mike Johnson and House Republican leaders detonated because they have no interest in keeping health care affordable.
Okay, did I just hear this correctly? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Did he just say that President Trump was about to do something and that the House representatives blocked it? Now, I don't know why he's doing this. Is he doing this to discredit the House representatives because of the midterms? So that they look bad? Okay, because usually he would attack Trump and the House representatives. Now, this is the same guy that would tell the press that the House representatives, the House Republicans, would not do anything unless President Trump told them what to do, unless their boss told them what to do. Now he's saying President Trump sends in a recommendation and they nuked it because they didn't want any changes to this. I don't know what he's trying to do here. Let me know in the chat.
The legislation that has the greatest amount of support in the Congress right now, both House and Senate, is a clean 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We believe that the American people deserve a similar level of certainty that Republicans provided to their billionaire donors when they made those massive tax breaks permanent in the One Big Ugly.
All right, so the tax credits that are being extended, in my opinion, are a huge problem. They are a huge problem. Now, let's think about this, okay, while we process this conversation. Okay, I've already given you my commentary and told you what I think about the reason why this 3-year extension is being proposed. I have my concerns, but is it possible that President Trump might have an alternative to the ACA? Is it possible that there's something in the works that the Democrats are trying to push in? Or is it possible that the Democrats are trying to, again, stuff this proposal with other things that that neutralize the one big, beautiful bill? I mean, we need to see these bills before we can, essentially say what they're all about. I don't believe them when they just stand behind the pulpits or the podiums and tell us what the bills are about. There's always something in there that's extra that isn't very good for the American people. Now, there's a SNAP freeze. The SNAP benefits are being frozen, and there's going to be a re-registration of recipients because of the fraud that has been discovered. Yesterday, we heard that there were over, I think, 500,000 people who were on SNAP benefits who were dead. They were like corpses were receiving SNAP benefits. So let's listen to this report, and then we go into the chat, and then we just conclude with our final engagements.
And Fox 13 is following developing news. The Trump administration says it will pause SNAP benefits for people in states controlled by Democrats over data requests. The administration says it's because many states are refusing to provide information, including the names and immigration status of those enrolled in the program. Fox 13 has reached out to the USDA for clarification about how this impacts people right here in Washington. The Trump administration says it wants to collect the data of everyone involved in the program because it says it wants to try and stop fraud. Yesterday, new requirements for the program kicked in. It raised the age limit from 54 to 64 for people who are required to work, train, or volunteer 80 hours a month to receive help. Among other changes, veterans and those experiencing homelessness will also fall under that mandate. The Congressional Budget Office believes these changes could reduce the number of recipients by more than 2 million people over the next decade. Meanwhile, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins told Fox Business last month that the agency found nearly 500,000 people collecting SNAP benefits in more than one state. Because of that, Rollins says all SNAP participants will need to reapply for benefits in order to stop fraud.
All right, so that report is self-explanatory. Of course, you'll expect the Democrats to explode and to complain, and say that the Democrats or that the Trump administration is starving Americans. Right, so let's have our final leg of responses to the chat. Okay, let's see. All right, there we go. People are not being detained. Patricia says people are not being detained in the Portland building. They are being processed there and then moved to detention centers. Okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that. There's so many things that I'm learning. So many things I'm learning from you guys, and that's why I enjoy the chat. I enjoy the chat, to be honest. I don't know everything, and sometimes I give takes that are not very well informed or not very well put. And when you kind of give me more perspective in the chat, it helps me. Zuli G says Jeffries is another criminal, thief in Congress. Okay. So guys, respond to what Zuli G said. I don't like the position the guy takes. Okay, I mock him for being Walmart Obama. Okay, but I don't know. I don't see any evidence. I do know that politicians in Washington D.C. are getting kickbacks and things like that. Yeah, but until there's evidence, it's really hard to just put those out there. Patricia says Obamacare is not affordable. People are having to pay high co-pays because of Obamacare. Yes, that is true. And so that extension for 3 years, just putting out billions of dollars for 3 years in order to keep Obamacare going and keeping those co-pays going is insane. Here's my suspicion. There might be something in the pipeline and they're trying to head it off to make sure that Trump isn't able to solve this expensive healthcare issue before the next presidential run, because they need all of the ammunition they can get with saying this president or this administration didn't do certain things well for the American people. Zuli G says he's playing them all. Okay, are you referring to Trump? That he's playing all of the, he's playing both Democrats or Republicans. I don't know who you're referring to. Or you're referring to Jeffries. Okay, let me keep it in context. You're referring to Jeffries, that he's playing everyone. Okay. Patricia says, why don't they read Obamacare to us? It has never been read. Yeah, because look, they hide these things. They hide how bad these policies are, okay, from the American people. I saw a video weeks ago where Nancy Pelosi, when the bill was being argued, was asked, how will the American people know what's in the bill? She says, well, we need to pass the bill before you know what's in the bill. And I felt like, what? How can you say that? It gives Trump time, and he will have Obamacare rewritten into a really good healthcare program. Are you referring to the 3-year ACA? I assume that's what you mean by the 3-year ACA gives Trump time. I think that's what you're referring to. Just confirm, please, Patricia, so I know that I'm interpreting your chat properly. Zuli G says, he thinks he's smart, but simple criminal thief is more like it. Okay, you're doubling down on Hakeem Jeffries. Patricia says, identify one person that was raised out of poverty by welfare. Nobody. You don't raise people out of poverty by giving them handouts. And that is one of the most, in my opinion, the most damaging things that these civil rights activists have pushed onto the Black communities. They've deceived them into believing that someone somewhere is coming to save you. And if the government doesn't give you a handout, you're not going to make it through life. And they've given them the impression that the white communities are getting benefits that the Black communities never get. I mean, there's all these things being said and told. I don't believe them. I don't believe them, but if someone tell me if I'm right, okay, for not believing that, because it just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Patricia says Jeffries really tried hard, really tries hard to imitate Obama. Yeah, like a few weeks ago, I just kept mocking him and imitating him. He's trying. Like Obama is his hero. Maybe he's hoping to be a replacement for Obama, a younger version for Obama. If you recall the email that was written to Epstein when his campaign was trying to raise funds from Epstein, they said that he was also known as Brooklyn Barack. So we were all spot on when we mocked him for being for imitating or wanting to be like Obama. I call him Walmart Obama. Okay. Zuli G says he's from New York, same as me. In this and this Dominican is where really? This Dominican is well known for dirty business, really. So he's Dominican. Interesting. Oh, Brooklyn Barack. Patricia says Obamacare is a 4-foot-tall stack of papers. Yeah. They do that to keep you from reading it. They know that most people won't have the patience or the tenacity to read through these bills. Patricia says, no, he will not confirm the extension on Obamacare. He has already made the statement they are going to rework it. That is what the Dems are trying to stop. Exactly. I knew it. I knew that there was something Trump was working on, and the Democrats were trying to head it off, because once he signs that extension, whatever he's trying to rework won't be possible. Wow. Okay. Patricia, thank you so much for the chat. Zuli G, great to have you in the chat. I hope you come back. And I hope you hit the bell icon, because I would love to have you come back again and again. I love the tag team, the tag team between you and Patricia. It's fun to read, it's fun to watch, and I've learned so much from both of you. Thank you so much. And then Canary King, I know, like, Canary King is a family man, so whenever I go live in the evenings, he tends to not be able to chat much because he's handling his kids. Okay, and I think he lives in New York too, just like you, Zuli G. He also lives in New York as well. So he's taking care of the kids and everything, and he's listening to me maybe with a phone. Like I do this whenever I'm out, around the house, helping out with the kids and so on, and showering my youngest. I put the phone on and I put the AirPods in, and I'm listening to my favorite YouTube channels. And I think that's what he's doing right now. So Canary King, I know you can hear me. Thank you so much for also jumping in and saying hi. During the noon segments, when he can, he usually engages in the chat. And sometimes he's busy at work. So noon segments tend to be more mellow. The evening segments tend to be where most of the engagement happens. And I quite enjoy these engagements. Okay, so tell me if you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the news and the stories. What do you think about the stories we covered? I did my best to find some of the most important stories that I could cram into this episode. But let me know what you thought about the stories, and please don't be polite. Okay, just let me know what if do we need more controversial stories? All right, do we need more controversial stories? It's hard to find these controversial stories unless we're looking for something that is just exaggerated, and I don't want exaggerations. I want us to report on facts and for us to discuss our perspectives on those facts, and then also bring in some backstory. And as much as we can also reach back in history and look at what happened, historically, and how they apply to the current conversation. Okay, let's see. Patricia says, Trump said they will make it better for the people. Yeah, he's been saying it. And during the campaign trail, he said he has a concept of a plan for how to rewrite Obamacare, but he's not going to expose it. And I think that's what they're trying to head off. They're trying to head it off. Patricia says, Zuli, it was great interacting with you. Look, honestly, I totally enjoyed this interaction. Zuli G said, oh yeah, he did subscribe. Hit the bell icon. I have over 10,900 people subscribe to the channel. And whenever I post content and go live, not all of them gets to see it. So there are two things that I wonder. I wonder at whether YouTube is keeping them from seeing it, or whether they didn't hit the bell icon. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I have to keep hammering on the fact that people have to hit the bell icon. Zuli G says, thank you, Patricia. Same to you. Yeah, guys, I love it when I see great interactions in the chat. All right. Zuli G says, you're doing great. Okay, you like the content. You like the way the stories are covered. I appreciate it. Now, let me put this up. Okay, I'm going to just read out Patricia's comment, and then I'll put up the email address. Patricia says, great coverage over the stories. I think you're doing great with the important stories. A lot of important information shared. Thank you so much. I try to work hard on these things, and still I feel, I'll tell you guys the truth. I feel inadequate because I know that there are other things. Sometimes I see stories I didn't cover, and I feel like the efforts I'm making is inadequate. Okay. It feels inadequate. Okay, hold on. I'm going to jump to that. So whenever I ask for feedback, I just need to know that I'm heading in the right direction. I don't want to give you guys content that isn't useful for you. And so for me, it's really important to just kind of tie down the essentials, give you, the stories that are important, and then have valid conversations. Now, I can see a bunch of you watching who haven't engaged in the comment section or in the chat. And that's fine. I know that there are people who are just shy and they don't want their handles out there. There are people who, there was one time where I was engaging with someone last year, and he didn't want people to know his position on the issue because of possible conflict with his family and friends. So, you know, he wanted some anonymity, and I respect that. But if you don't have that situation, if you don't have that problem, please feel free to jump in the chat and engage. Okay, it's really important. Okay, Patricia says, I watched the 12 noon video and commented there too. Okay, yeah, I saw the comments. And I'm going to save those comments for the next noon live stream. Okay, we've gone for almost 2 hours on this episode. I want to save those comments because I usually want to read every comment during the live stream. So I'm going to save those comments and I'm going to read your comments. Thank you so much for watching the noon video. I was going to ask what you thought of the noon episode, but I'll read your chats later. Let's see. Zuliji reemphasizes the fact that that we're doing great on the channel. Okay, thank you so much. As always, please, if you haven't subscribed yet, okay, subscribe, like, share. If you're watching this after the fact, feel free to leave a comment in the chat. I read every comment that you guys put in there, and I respond to them during the live streams when there's more time to go through the comments in the comment section. So please go ahead and do that. And above everything, when you can, please consider engaging in the chat during the live stream. Hit the bell icon if you're subscribed and attend the live streams, because the live engagement is really where the fun is at. You know, you come for the news commentary, but you stay for the conversation. So we want to do more of talking. All right. Charlie Kirk says, when conversation stops, the violence begins. And even if you don't agree 100% with some of the positions that we take, because the channel, as you can see, has conservative leanings, talking is one way to bridge the gap and to gain understanding. Anyone who doesn't want us to talk is the enemy. All right. They may say that they lean one way or another. They could be right-leaning or left-leaning. Anyone who doesn't want us to talk is the problem and is creating a lot of conflict within the country. Patricia reminds us to please remember to hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button. Okay, hit the thumbs up button. Hit the like button. It sends a signal through the YouTube universe to people who believe just like you. That's what happens. You hit the thumbs up and YouTube says, someone like this guy might want to watch this video. So please consider hitting the thumbs up as well. Patricia says, so much happens so fast that sometimes it is hard to fit everything in. But the important part is that you are covering everything very well. This is high praise. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you so very much. Patricia says a good show might be on how people use YouTube. Really? Okay, fine. On how people use YouTube. Okay. Can you kind of give some more explanation to that? Okay. Because I would like to understand it so that we can plan that out. It's something that we can do easily. So just explain what you mean on how or by how people use YouTube so I can exactly understand what you're trying to describe. Now, while she's explaining that, I like to receive email from you. Okay. Patricia and I connected by email and we've been having conversations. Patricia and I are talking about having shows like where we talk about Area 51, aliens, the Nephilim, certain things that have been called government or conspiracies, which essentially are being proven to be true. Alien spacecraft and other things that are just out of the way, but are things that people are asking about and may be connected to the things that are happening today. So we've been talking about that by email. And if you want to jump on an email to kind of reach out to me to let me know your thoughts and possibly to suggest stories that I could cover in a future episode, let's send them to the inbox. I will consider them. And as you can see, we're planning to actually begin to work on shows where certain days of the week we focus on shows that are heavy on some of these topics. We can just talk about the headlines for 10 minutes, and then the rest of the show is dedicated to taking calls. We have a call-in feature that is available, and we haven't used it yet because we want to be able to see some volume in the chat. All right, now we can also begin to have the call-in feature maybe towards the last 15 minutes of the show. There could be shows where the entire show is all a call-in feature where people use the call-in link and then they basically tell us what they think about the headlines that we've covered, or simply talk about certain things that people may not know and just talk about it. There's a show that I watch where start to finish, it's calling, and people calling about alien abduction, supernatural or paranormal experiences that they've had. We could also have people call in and say, hey, this news story that I just watched on TDSBC. Okay, if you don't know who TDSBC is, MSNBC. They've rechristened themselves to MS Now. All right. So you could call in and we just have a conversation. Look, you make the show happen. Okay, you guys are the stars of the show, and my job is to create this platform where we can all have a conversation. And as long as we can have decent conversation and exchange, like, it's an amazing show. So send me an email, send me your thoughts, send me the ideas that you have for topics we could cover, and we can connect. Now, if you want to support the show financially, okay, I hold back a lot on talking about this, but like I hinted earlier, for now, this is my full-time job. And it will help a whole lot if there's a way that this can generate revenue that keeps me doing what I'm doing. And do you know what? My dream is to be able to do this full-time. Now, until I get my work papers done, this is my full-time job. So at least I need to be able to pay for the internet bills, the electricity bills, whatever it can do. Now, the views on YouTube kind of generate very low revenue. So because it's still a young channel, it's still a small channel. My 10,000 subscribers don't get to see notifications, like I said earlier. So I'm asking if you feel like supporting by donating, sending a super chat, super thank, joining the membership, okay, you can send me an email to this address, or you can use the links in the description of this live stream, and then you can use that to take action. If you're live and you're watching, you can hit the super chat button and give a donation. I mean, there are many ways to do that, but do what you can do. But if you can't do, and all you can do is subscribe, like, share, watch, chat, it's fine. Okay, it's fine. It's not a requirement. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay. All right. So Zuli G sends 4 thumbs ups. All right. I know you mean. I know you know she means the button, but I get the sentiment. Okay. So Patricia says, I use it to fix things in the house. I also have used it to learn how to do recent makeup tricks. Also, I am a rock hound and watch videos to learn what rocks are in different areas of the US, etc. Okay, yeah, a show on how to use YouTube for different things. People don't know that they can literally get trained on different things. I have learned how to code on YouTube, you know, so it is amazing to see what YouTube has made possible. Yeah, so yes, we can have a show on that. Let's see. MS Now, misinformed subjects now. Patricia, you know I call MSNBC TDSBC. My own rendition for MS Now is BS Now. Okay, but I decided to just stick with TDSBC. It rolls off the tongue. Okay, so BS Now is self-explanatory. Okay, everyone knows what BS is. So that is also good, I think. But misinformed subjects now is also good. It's also good. Zuli G says, what did the Clintons did with the gold? Okay, what did the Clintons do with the gold from Haiti? Do we still have gold in the reserve? Now, that's a topic we can talk about. That's a topic we can talk about. And meanwhile, thank you so much, Zuli G, for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right. My mom raised me not to ask for money. But so I struggle even when I ran my own business in Nigeria, I struggled to send bills to clients because my mom drilled it in my head. You never ask people for money. So I had a very bad relationship with asking people for stuff. So doing some business and doing this and being in this position has forced me to just loosen my tongue and say, look, you have to make the ask. Thank you, Zuli G, for responding. I appreciate it so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. I appreciate this. I want to do this. To be honest, my desire is to be able to do this full time and to do it honorably. I want to provide you guys with the truth. And even if it's difficult for me to put out there, I want to always, always speak the truth to you guys. That's what I want to do. And as long as I can, I want to be able to respond to every chat that comes in. I do. I know that a time is coming. I don't know how quickly that time will come, but it's coming when there'll be so many people in the chat, I won't be able to answer everyone. I know that time is coming. So I try very hard to do this now while I can essentially talk with you guys in real time in the chat without requiring a super chat before I read out your comments. I follow shows that are so big that because they can't answer all the chats, they only focus on super chats. And I've said it before, and I mean it. When that time comes, when I can't do this, when I can't respond to each person in the chat, I will feel sad about it. I will grieve it, but I'll be glad that that people will be willing to use a super chat to promote their own comments so that I can read it out to everyone else on the show. Patricia Buck says, awesome, Zuli G. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Look, you guys, even without sending the super chat, have made the live stream rich. Every time we have these live streams where we're talking and exchanging and we're making headway in finding out or discovering the truth and putting truth out there, I go to bed with a smile on my face, honestly. And super chat or not, it doesn't doing this. I enjoy doing this. I go to bed with a smile on my face. Then when you guys pile on with generosity, it's like I don't think my wife is watching. I can look my wife in the eye to say, I'm going upstairs to work. Because my little recording room is upstairs. I tell her I'm going upstairs to work, okay, and I have this light on that says "Do not disturb." So whenever there's a financial confirmation that what I'm doing is right, or what I'm doing is going to pay the bills and make sure that we're paying our mortgage, we're paying everything that needs to be paid for, and I'm taking care of business. It puts an even bigger smile on my face. Patricia says, You are on the right path to do this permanently. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you so much. I will promise one thing, okay, or two things. One, I will always do my best to tell the truth. Two, I will work hard to make this show as beneficial to you as I can. I will do the research. I will make sure that I fact check. I will make sure that I do everything I can to essentially, make this valuable. I know that your time is precious. I know that there are shows out there that promise one thing and then they basically go all the way off because now they're big and now the audience are like ants because they're so big they don't know the names of all their audience members. But I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that. So I'm going to do my best to keep the integrity of the show, to keep it valuable as much as I can, and I'll try to figure out a way to make sure that the genetics of the show makes it possible for it to maintain that truthfulness and that value that those of you who are following right now have come to enjoy. Patricia, Zuli G, definitely from your engagement in the chat, it's clear that you resonate with what we're doing here. And with you donating a $20 super chat, okay, I think that's the biggest super chat I've received ever on the show. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, Patricia says, your show makes me happy. I smile every time I think about it. Really, okay, now that statement makes me happy. I have this picture on my wall, and it's a printout, not a picture. It's a printout of comments from my audience, and some of them are more like me looking at them and seeing these comments as an encouragement. I have another. I'm going to show you something just to let you know that what you guys say to me means a lot. I'm going to do this. I do my best to be truthful. So when I tell you guys things, I mean it. Okay, I mean it. Like sometimes I just take. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I want to show you guys, what I do, because it's a lonely world out there. Okay, so here's what I do. Okay, these are screenshots of chat comments. Okay, that I take when I remember I can, and I take them and they remind me of why I do what I do. All these are chats from live streams, and I look at them and I read them and I'm like, okay, this is why I do what I do. Because sometimes it gets discouraging. Like you go live, you're like, am I making a dent? I do this because I'm trying to put the truth out there, and I want more people to talk. I want more people to have an intelligent conversation. And sometimes I walk out of here dejected because it's like, did I do a good job? Did I get the right stories? Did I give the right commentary? Did the audience enjoy it? Did they connect? So whenever I have these experiences where, yes, it landed, I have something to look at, I have something to remind me that this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I just want to let you know that this comment you just made, Patricia, all right, it means a whole lot to me. It means a lot to me, and it isn't even close. Okay, it isn't close. Zuli G gives the laugh emoji and says, thank you. Thank you, Zuli G. All right, so we are over the 2-hour mark. This is an amazing sprint. Thank you guys for making this show possible. Remember, you can send your messages to me, to this email on the screen. And I am thinking about and I am praying about a weekend inclusion. I want to add one more show within the weekend. It might be on a Saturday night, or it might be an afternoon show. I'm thinking about it. I freed up my weekends so that I could kind of do more during the weekend with family. But because of the YouTube algorithm, I'm just being honest, because the YouTube algorithm is really weird. If you live stream every day of the week and then you go on break on weekends, I'm going to watch this for a while. If it is impacting the channel negatively, I may have to include an extra show during the weekend. So I'm thinking about it. I'm just letting you know, so you know that that is in the pipeline. I will be sending out messages through the community segment on the YouTube channel. But eventually, I may have to bring you guys into a mailing list so that I can send out notifications to you guys directly. If YouTube decides after 2028 that my channel is persona non grata and the channel goes away, I need to be able to keep tabs with everyone and let you guys know what's next. All right. And that's why I live stream on 5 platforms. I have the main channel, the backup channel. I have Twitch, Kick, and I have Rumble streams going on right now. So what I try to do is to just make sure that I let you guys know where to find me. And eventually we're going to figure stuff out. Okay, guys, it's been a great show. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being amazing. I appreciate my time with you guys, and I will see you next week. All right. Good night, guys. Patricia, Zuli G, Canary Kin, and everyone who has watched and has been lurking and not saying anything. I hope during the next show, you will raise your voice and make your voice heard. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Bye. Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.